Okay, welcome to the Circle 2.2 video tutorial. I'm going to whiz through this fairly rapidly in order to keep the file size small. You can see here today's date and the date that this demonstration version expires, which is the end of this year. The final version, the commercial version, won't have an expiry date on it at all. Okay, you can see here that you can unlock the system. Once it's expired, you will only be able to load and aggregate data. You won't be able to enter new data. Okay, I've got some demo files here, just the four. Once you've decided to load a record, let's have a look at Billy Bragg's. You double click, which takes you to the circumplex that you can see here. These are the raw data, these are the z-scores. This is overall Lovax, Domax. This is the angle and vector of the single point representation of the circumplex data. If this doesn't make any sense to you, you just need to read Ron Blackburn's paper and the manual. This button copies all this data to the clipboard, and you can then paste it into a spreadsheet and do something with it. This exports that chart that you can then import into a report or such like in Word or whatever you use. This will print to a colour printer if you've got one connected. This button will check rater agreement, so I'll click on that, and you can see here that basically there's a confusion matrix with a Cohen's kappa there. These are approaching zero simply because the demo data isn't real data, it's randomly generated. So you'd expect it to have a kappa approaching zero. This confusion matrix I think is quite useful. I mean, obviously you'd expect these green numbers to be highest if you're getting good interrelator reliability. As these numbers become larger, then you'd have concern about it. For example, here we've got 5 items that rater 1 has said happen usually or frequently, whereas rater 2 have said they happen not at all. If you want to see what those items are, you click on there, and you can see that, for example, item 6 here is that he starts fights. Now obviously that's quite important, because we've got rater 1 who says he starts fights frequently, rater 2 says not at all. So this is something that you may well wish to chase up with your nurse raters. Okay, here we have fairly high agreement that usually or frequently for rater 2 and usually or frequently with rater 1. This person is inactive unless directed to do something, etc., etc. So this screen is quite useful because it gives you a sense of the degree of agreement between your two raters, and also those specific areas and items which there is agreement or disagreement on. Okay, I'll go back here, which takes you via the circumplex again back to the results. You can look at another one if you want to. Check rater agreement there, and again you can see it approaches zero. So I'll just keep going all the way back this time, which takes me back to the beginning. If I want to enter data, I come to this screen here, which gives me an identifier, which could be Palooka Joe. That's the only mandatory piece of information on this screen. The date is automatically recorded. You can put some notes in there if you want to. Continue. Now this screen is a bit confusing because you need to enter a rater name here, and it will be by Phil. Click on enter scores, and that then enables ratings to be entered in here. I've left this button here, which is the one I use for randomly entering data, just to get through this bit quickly. Auto scroll is a feature whereby you have a small window that scrolls up, and it helps you more quickly fill in your ratings. I'm going to click random fill, which as you can see gives me exactly that. then click on Check Data. That makes sure you haven't missed any out. If you have missed any out, you just look for blanks and fill them in. Then we go to rater 2, who I will say will be Barney. We'll enter scores here. Click Random Fill, check the data, and then it says we can go to Results. And there's our Palooka Joe is the name of our person, Phil and Barney are the raters, and these are the data that you'd expect. We can check rater agreement, which again, because it's a random one, should approach 0. Obviously, the higher you get for Cohen's kappa, the better. And 0.4 and above is a reasonable inter-rater reliability. Again, here we can click on here and find that we've got big disagreements here between our two raters, which you may wish to follow up. Okay, and you can see that now Palooka Joe has joined our list of assessments that we have on the records. Aggregate data is a way of aggregating the data. You can select these by dragging on them, or selecting individually, or selecting them all, or selecting none. Once you've identified the ones you want, you click Choose, and then you can click on Whole Records. Oh, actually, I'm going to show you a bug here, because it doesn't work until you've clicked on that. Some items on the circle are reversed scoring items. If this is not checked, click on Whole Records. You can see that's rater 1, that's rater 2, and that's the sum, and that's the item number. So for Willow Seldom, the first one scored 2, second rater scored 1, and the sum is 3. If you auto-calc reversed items and click Whole Records again, some of them change. So for example, item 5 is reverse scored. 2 add 2 isn't 2, and that's because that particular item is reverse scored, and it does it automatically for you. So unfortunately, with this version, you need to click on this, either positive or negative, it doesn't matter whether it's checked or not, before you click Whole Records. Now this is called Whole Records because they are listed line by line, and item 1, item 2, item 3, item 4, and so on. If you convert to 1 line per record, you get the same data, and auto-calced or not, depending on what you've selected there, and your items now appear across the page. If you then click on Export Data, there's a default name given here, which you can change if you want. Click on OK, and that data is exported to a tab delimited text file, which you can then suck into SPSS or a spreadsheet for you doing your own analyses on. The important thing is to remember whether you have asked for the reversed items to be auto-calced, because of course if you assume they have or haven't wrongly in your subsequent analyses, your data will be wrong. If you click on kappa, you can get an overall kappa of all the items available, and as you can see, again, it's very, very close to 0 because these are all demo data and not real. Okay, that is a very quick race through Circle 2.2. It currently is a final beta version, which I really hope will be released soon, but obviously take care when using it, double check the results. I think it should work, and if you have any problems, get back to me and let me know what's going on. Cheers.